First on Fox tonight, the word from Springfield. Governor Quinn's tax increase is dead on arrival. Good evening, I'm Robin Robinson.
And I'm Jeff Goldblatt. Political editor Jack Connolly looks at why the hike hit a brick wall and what this all means for the battered state budget.
The governor wants a vote on his income tax increase. He's even offering to make it temporary, but he doesn't have the votes here to get it passed. The most important man in Springfield on the most important issue of the day. Are we going to get a vote on the tax increase today, Mr.
Well, we're going to meet with the governor shortly, and we'll address that question.
Do you have the votes, do you believe, for a tax increase?
Well, that's the question we'll talk about in the meeting. Can you hold that elevator?
When you talk to the governor, this is what you hear.
This is not a garden variety recession. We haven't had a budget deficit like this in the history of our state. We, as a people working with the General Assembly, have to do what's right to keep our state afloat in tough times.
But tough times make for tough choices, and red ink or not, some Democrats won't vote for a tax increase.
I think that in this particular point in time, when there really is a very tough economic climate, we cannot simply have a large tax increase without also showing the public that we're doing some belt-tightening first.
And for Republicans, an income tax increase is out of the question.
Again, I think we've said from day one to raise taxes in this economy is counterproductive, and I think Illinois families are getting by on less, and government needs to get by on less.
But without a tax increase, hundreds of state-funded programs are in jeopardy, from substance abuse treatment to Meals on Wheels.
I think that there is a large percentage of Illinoisans who are feeling the pain, but it may be, and the problem with feeling pain is that they're so far away, we don't really hear them here.
The income tax increase may get a vote tomorrow, but for now it appears doomed. Too many lawmakers consider it risky, and they're afraid of voter backlash. Jack Connolly, Fox Chicago News, at the state capitol in Springfield.
Here's the bottom line as lawmakers scramble to get their work done. The state faces a deficit of more than $11 billion. Governor Quinn does not support a partial budget to solve part of the problem. The state Senate has passed an ethics reform bill, even though the Special Reform Commission, handpicked by the governor, says it doesn't go far enough. The House has yet to vote on the ethics package. The current legislative session is scheduled to expire on Sunday. Later in this newscast, we're going to talk with Republican State Senator Matt Murphy of Palatine. We're going to get his thoughts on the budget, taxes, and ethics reform, and if the work will get done this weekend.
Police shot and killed a school bus driver following a chase through 3 southern suburbs. They say the driver had an argument with his manager this morning at the bus company in South Holland, then stole the bus. The driver rammed several police vehicles and other cars before coming to a stop in Glenwood finally. Police say they ordered him to get out of the bus, but that instead he tried to run down the officers, and that's when they opened fire.
Anytime you have a bus that's fleeing from police at 65 or so miles an hour is a deadly weapon. And anytime you point that bus at an officer and drive it toward an officer or a civilian or anybody else, it's a deadly weapon, and the officers use the appropriate force necessary to terminate his actions.
A school bus monitor was also on that bus, but she was not hurt.
A community takes aim tonight at gang violence. Marchers walked the streets of one Chicago neighborhood to drive gang members out of their community. Steve Shamraz is live on this one on the city's west side at District 10 Police Headquarters. Steve?
Jeff, people in the Pilsen neighborhood are worried this could be a violent summer. So tonight, they took to the streets of their neighborhood, sending a message to anybody thinking of causing trouble where they live. Hundreds of marchers marched through the streets of the near South Side neighborhood. They wanted to do more than just challenge the gang members who threaten their community. Their challenge also went out to parents who need to keep close tabs on their kids once school lets out next month. They also are challenging the kids themselves, so they make smart decisions if they should run into trouble this summer.
We keep an eye on them. We talk to them about, what gangs are and how bad it is, so they understand the situation. I mean, eventually they're going to have to make their own choices, but we're guiding them. My wife and I are guiding them on an ongoing basis.
It's the kids killing kids, as it was mentioned earlier. It's something that can be easily solved only if people will realize how easily the solution can be. But if you hide, they'll never know.
One of the crimes on the minds of marchers tonight was the murder of 15-year-old Alex Arellano earlier this month. He was shot beaten and burned. The suspects in that case, both teenagers. The victim, only 15 years old. One of the motives believed in that case was gang intimidation. Tonight, the community is hoping they are intimidating the gangs back. Live at District 10 tonight, Steve Shamraz, Fox Chicago News.
Chicago police seized $18 million worth of marijuana in a huge drug sting on the city's southwest side. Investigators say narcotics officers watched a small drug deal take place, then found more than 2,500 pounds of pot in a nearby garage by 64th Place in Menard. The officers also seized more than $11,000 in cash. 4 people are under arrest. 6 cars also impounded. Updating a story we first told you about last night. 5 people wounded in a drive-by shooting in the city's Back of the Yards neighborhood are all going to be okay. The victims range in age from 15 years old to 24. It happened at 53rd and Halsted in a vacant lot. Officers say they have no leads or suspects, but they say the shootings do appear to be gang-related.
Alderman Ike Carruthers talked to reporters today for the first time since his indictment on federal fraud and bribery charges. Larry Yellen is live from City Hall with this one. Larry?
Jeff, tonight Ike Carruthers has to be worried about more than answering to federal corruption charges. He may be worried about answering to his colleagues after it appears that he has been secretly recording his conversations with them for the feds here at City Hall.
Well, it's a difficult time. Certainly, it's difficult for anyone. But we'll get through it.
Indicted Alderman Ike Carruthers today refused to comment on these documents filed by the U.S. Attorney's Office, which suggests that a public official A, apparently Alderman Carruthers, has been secretly recording conversations with other public officials and real estate developers for the last year.
No comment on that.
The documents regarding Carruthers' cooperation were kept secret until yesterday when Carruthers was charged with accepting bribes from real estate developer Calvin Bunder. U.S. Attorney Patrick Fitzgerald would not confirm or deny whether secret recordings were part of the investigation into Bunder or others.
There's nothing referenced in the indictment as to whether there's undercover videotapes or tapes.
Carruthers is accused of pushing for a zoning change to help Bunder develop Galewood Yards on Chicago's west side, while failing to disclose $40,000 worth of home repairs Bunder provided as bribes.
These are some serious allegations, and certainly I'm going to treat them very seriously. On advice of counsel, I've been told I shouldn't talk about the case.
But Carruthers wasn't the only politician lobbying on Bunder's behalf. Congressman Luis Gutierrez sent this letter to Mayor Daley, saying that the mayor should not consider Bunder, quote, a bad guy. I absolutely refute this characterization. Gutierrez had once borrowed $200,000 from Bunder to help purchase a new home. Congressman Gutierrez and his staffers did not return our calls today. In the past, he has said that his dealings with the developer Calvin Bunder were fully disclosed and appropriate. Live at Chicago City Hall, Larry Yellen, Fox Chicago News. Jeff?
Larry, being our legal analyst, let's say that these recordings are indeed a fact, that Carruthers was wearing a wire. Would this automatically be admitted into evidence at any other trials if they were to go to trial?
Not necessarily. They have to pass the scrutiny of a judge who would decide that they were done appropriately. Then they have to be determined to be relevant to those particular cases. They just can't go out and wear a wire and hope that they can admit that as evidence in any case that happens to come up at the Dirksen building. It has to be relevant to that case, and the recordings have to have been done appropriately. And you can bet that defense lawyers will say that the feds went beyond the legal boundaries in having him make these recordings.
Good explanation. Thanks very much, Larry.
Okay.
After 2 years of court trials, music producer Phil Spector will spend at least 19 years in jail. Spector showed no emotion in court today as he was sentenced for the murder of actress Lana Clarkson. She was shot and killed in Spector's home 6 years ago. Clarkson was best known for her role in the cult classic movie Barbarian Queen. Spector also has to make restitution payments in addition to his prison sentence. His attorneys are planning an appeal. Spector's first trial ended with a deadlocked jury.
As Chicagoans, we're used to hearing about clout at City Hall.
But clout at college? Students at the University of Illinois getting a life lessons about what the right connections can mean, even at that school's hallowed halls.
Mixing business and pleasure. President Obama attacks cybercrime, then takes a lunch break that surprised a lot of people.
On the Weather Watch, a decent start to the weekend. We had 74 degrees this afternoon, still pretty mild out there. If you're south of Chicago, look at the temperatures. Lakefront, a big cool down as a front slid through town. 47 in Waukegan, 59 at O'Hare, and still in the mid-60s to the south. Tomorrow morning, a mix of clouds and sun and temperatures in the upper 50s. One day is better than the other. I'll have the weekend forecast after the break.
And later, remember this videotape? An off-duty Chicago police officer seen attacking a female bartender. He's expected to go to trial next week. Why some say that could be a mistake. Our special report around 9:30. Guess you could call it drive-through bankruptcy. General Motors ready to swallow that bitter pill, but it might not need the protection of bankruptcy for long. What's ahead for GM? Most likely later in our Money Wise segment.
The University of Illinois went into damage control mode today in the wake of the revelation that politically connected students got into the university over other applicants with more qualified resume. A school spokesman says just a handful of students got this benefit, but many see this all as blatantly unfair. Considered a great education for the money, the flagship campus of the University of Illinois has increased its standing in recent years, given its rich academic traditions without Ivy League tuitions. This year, the Urbana campus got 26,000 applications for about 7,000 spots. So news that politicians possess clout in admissions decisions doesn't sit well with rejected applicant Brad Bunt.
If I find out I had better GPA and test scores than them, I'd be really, really disappointed that they would do something like that and shut out people that I think were more than qualified to get in.
After the Chicago Tribune outed the university, it's come forward to admit it keeps a watch list for tracking a select group of students. We're talking the well-connected here, with ties to politicians and trustee members.
These kinds of tracking lists are in place at a lot of different institutions. They do serve a purpose. They do have value.
Certainly valuable for a relative of Tony Rezko, the convicted fundraiser for ousted Governor Rod Blagojevich, who, according to the Tribune, reaped the benefits of the school's watch list. The paper says the student jumped the line to gain entry over more qualified students.
You have all those long hours of studying, you have those days you're in class learning. I mean, it's just really a lot of work, and that's not fair. Just point blank, it's not fair.
I'm trying to get into med school myself. I'm trying to work as hard as I can. If somebody gets the advantage just because they know somebody on the admission board, doesn't mean they should get the advantage of getting into school.
The university's president says just because the school tracks certain students doesn't mean there's pressure to admit them. In a statement, he wrote, quote, "All admissions to the University of Illinois should be based on merit. There will be many inquiries of support and interest for applicants, including from powerful people. But it is our job to manage a merit-based system and not succumb to pressure." The university is vowing a complete investigation of its admission policies, and if you'd like to see some of the so-called cloud emails sent to university staff, we have posted copies online at myfoxchicago.com. So before we get too high and mighty on this one, on the question of clout, we're asking you this question. Right or wrong, as a parent, you would pull strings to get your child into a good school. All right, log on to myfoxchicago.com on this one to let us know and leave a comment on our message board if you would. Or you can text the word right or wrong to Fox 32, that's 36932. Results, of course, later on in this newscast.
The White House looking to do some damage control regarding President Obama's nominee for the Supreme Court. Presidential spokesperson Robert Gibbs says he thinks Sonia Sotomayor would have chosen her words more carefully during a 2001 speech. Back then, she said a female Hispanic judge would often reach a better decision than a white male judge. Gibbs says he thinks Sotomayor might rethink using the word better in that sentence. Keep in mind the comment came during a lecture titled A Latina Judge's Voice. Sotomayor heads to Capitol Hill next week to start meeting with senators who will vote on her confirmation.
President Obama says the nation's computers and internet networks need better protection from hackers. The president says he personally has been victimized, that his presidential campaign computer system got hacked. So the commander-in-chief says with a new age comes a new position, and today he announced plans to create a new cyber czar in charge of combating cyber threats.
We will ensure that these networks are secure, trustworthy, and resilient. We will deter, prevent, detect, and defend against attacks and recover quickly from any disruptions or damage.
It's not clear what kind of authority this new cyber czar is going to have. The president says he's going to appoint someone to the post very soon.
You work with a pretty healthy appetite. We're in the leader of the free world. So President Obama today stopped into Five Guys. That's one of his favorite burger joints in the nation's capital. The president, who arrived in his motorcade, ordered a burger and fries for himself, then bought burgers for his entire entourage. He chatted with customers waiting for their orders, posed for a group photo, then grabbed his bags to go. But they didn't even complain if he jumped the line, which he probably did.
That's a good place. They actually let you throw peanuts on the floor there. I know because I grew up in D.C., so it's a good place.
I think we have that thing in our neighborhood.
That thing?
The burger joint?
There's some sort of burger joint that's
I've heard it's expanding in
Oak
Chicago.
Park.
Yeah.
Do we have
They're
it?
never as good when they go to
I don't know. Five Guys, we have it, don't
Aren't
we?
you here?
We do.
You're here to do the weather, right? Not the hamburger review?
Hey, go ahead. Eat outside or inside
I'll
this
have
weekend.
to check it out this weekend. I'll have a full report for you next week.
Thank you.
All right, as we get started tonight, decent weekend ahead. We started off pretty nice this afternoon. A cold front came through, took our mid-70s down into the 50s, but if you're along the North Shore, temperatures have slipped into the 40s. It was really chilly, so cool in some spots. The blimp, we were on its tail this afternoon. We had all our cameras set up, tracking it across the area, so they got some good advertisement, at least as far as Fox Chicago goes. We were watching them pretty carefully as they went in and out of all the buildings. I think it was a DirecTV blimp, so they get their advertisement tonight, but pretty cool to see. Yeah, there it is. Beautiful Lake Mission, great visibility across the area, and some boats getting out and about. As we get started tonight, a live picture will look across the area, and a few clouds in and around the area will help keep our temperatures not quite as cold as they are off to the north, with temperatures in the upper 40s, but we should slide into the low 50s without any problem at all. Really beautiful picture here of the city skyline all lit up. Live power Doppler tonight. It's the only place to see live streaming radar online for the upper Midwest is Chicago, myfoxchicago.com. We've got a 300-mile radius and the most powerful radar in the Midwest. Lucky, no showers around here, but a few wrinkles in the forecast. Before we get to the numbers that we're looking for both Saturday and Sunday, a look at what's happening to the south and east of us. So we've got the satellite imagery up tonight. Now, I wanted to check in with the East Coast because the tropics are starting a little earlier this season. Now, we've seen some tropical waves moving out, so hurricane season officially starting on June 1st. But the East Coast all lit up tonight. A disturbance is well offshore, and it's going to continue to pull out to the east. But if you're doing any traveling this weekend, they are certainly contending with some big showers and thunderstorms, and it's due to a storm that came out of the tropics. All right, as we get going, here's what we can expect for our weekend. It's going to be a cool night tonight, much cooler to the north than it is to the south. A slight risk for an afternoon thunderstorm tomorrow, mainly south of Chicago. A beautiful Sunday. Sunday's definitely the better day of the weekend. Here's the numbers and the stretch that I'm talking about. 47 up in Waukegan, while mid to upper 60s still down in LaSalle, Morris, 59 in Kankakee. So the front is sort of sliding down the lake, and it will continue to pull southward. But this unstable air mass is with us pretty much for the next 24 hours. So we can't rule out an early morning sprinkle tomorrow or an isolated shower or thunderstorm as the front sags down to the south. You can see there are showers and thunderstorms well to the north through central Wisconsin, stretching back north of Minneapolis. Also downstate, we've got some showers and thunderstorms where we really saw the temperatures light up. In the afternoon, we got into the 80s in some spots down there, and that triggered a few thunderstorms. So early tomorrow morning, a few sprinkles right along the state line north and west of Chicago is what we expect. The next disturbance pulls through here, and as it sags down to the south of us, a few spotty showers through northwest Indiana or the southern counties. So if you're south and west of Chicago, an afternoon isolated shower is possible. If rain does develop, it'll move real quick and shouldn't cause much of a problem at all. Tomorrow's daytime highs will once again be in the mid to upper 70s. Should feel real nice around here. 80s back to the west of us. We're not going to be extremely warm, but definitely a pleasant afternoon expected. 54 tonight, cool in the Chicago area. Southwest winds, they'll be northwesterly before the weekend is out. Broken cloud cover for the early morning hours if you've got activities across the area. Only a few sprinkles expected well to the north of Chicago. By the afternoon, we're back to the 70s. It's going to be a real beautiful afternoon with just an isolated risk of thunderstorms, a mix of sun and clouds across the area. Sunday is the sunny day of the weekend. Now, we thought it was going to be a little bit warmer. The front pushes down to the south. It gives us a lot more sunshine, but temperatures
likely in the low to mid 70s and not reaching the 80-degree mark. Instead, we'll push the warmth to Monday. Showers and thunderstorms this day. In fact, they could be severe at times, so we're keeping a really close eye on Monday's forecast. For Tuesday, showers come in, but look at the temperatures going down to below the seasonal average. We're going to cool it off into the 60s for both Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Low to mid 70s Thursday and Friday. Temperatures should heat up. We'll have the 10-day trend and show you that coming up a little bit later tonight. Also, lake levels. We've been talking about how wet this spring is, you guys, and the lake levels are actually up. So we'll explain that. We'll have that report before the end of the newscast tonight.
All right.
Thank you. Another pirate movie, just what you wanted. It's going to be coming to a movie theater next year.
We'll tell you why. We have a feeling that you won't be seeing Johnny Depp in this one, though. And the boy who grew up to become prom queen. How a joke turned into something much bigger.
A Chicago police officer goes on trial Monday accused of beating a female bartender. What we've learned about his possible defense strategy just might surprise you. The story of an American commercial ship captain held hostage by Somalian pirates will be coming to the big screen.
That tops our news across America. Columbia Pictures says it bought the rights to the life story of Richard Phillips. Phillips offered himself as a hostage, you'll recall, in exchange for the release of his crew. After several days on a lifeboat under the gun, the Navy rescued him. No word on who gets the leading role on this one or when production will begin, but he looks a little bit like Sean Connery. An openly gay student at a high school in Hollywood, California, was voted prom queen. Sergio Garcia says the whole thing started off as a joke, but it turned into a discussion about gender roles and teen popularity. When the votes were counted, Garcia was crowned this year's prom queen. He says he just plans to be himself and have a good time with the title.
A century-old American flag turned up inside a school in Wisconsin. This one has just 45 stars, one for each state in the Union back in 1897. Utah was only a year old at the time, and Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arizona, Alaska, and Hawaii, not even states yet. Firefighters found the flag inside the steeple of a school in Milwaukee after a fire. The school plans to restore and display the flag.
It's been 2 years since the video you're about to see shook Chicago's police department.
An off-duty officer caught on tape. We've learned his defense could include blaming the bartender. Our special report on the upcoming trial, it's next.
And remember all that snow we complained about during the winter? Turns out it's done some good. Amy Freeze follows the circle of life, if you will.
And later, he's trying to shed his Playboy image. England's Prince Harry gets serious in New York City.
A thorn has come up to haunt Derek Rose from accusations of grade changes to another student taking the SATs for him. Tonight's question, who is responsible? One possible answer tonight on the 10. I'm Lauren Cohn. Also on the 10, more problems for Drew Peterson. What a judge decided today. And plus a new insurance law that may affect how you cover your children. And the joke is out, the business that's beating the economic crisis. We will see you at 10.
It's a videotape seen around the world, and we showed it to you first. Now, Chicago police officer Anthony Abate is just days away from trial, accused of beating a barmaid half his size. Craig Wall previews the trial and why some say Abate might be better off just making a deal.
We first showed you this dramatic video more than 2 years ago. It shows a drunken off-duty Chicago police officer beating a barmaid. A security camera caught the incident at Jesse's Shortstop Inn. Anthony Abate is charged with the beating. Carolina Obrica is the barmaid who got the beating. She says because she stopped serving him.
It stays in your head actually to the end of your life. You're not able to forget about that.
2 weeks later, Chicago police got another blow. The city's police superintendent, Phil Klein, resigned.
Leaving during these times of challenge makes my decision even more difficult.
Cook County prosecutors originally charged Abate only with battery for his part in the February 19, 2007 beating. When we aired the tape a month later, prosecutors upped the charge to a felony aggravated battery and arrested Abate at his Northside home. At one time, both sides were close to reaching a plea bargain. It fell through because it did not include probation, something the defense wanted at the time. Now, Abate's trial is scheduled to begin on June 1st.
I think that he should strongly be considering a plea
given what everyone has seen on that video.
That's despite the recent verdict in another high-profile police misconduct case that was also caught on camera. A judge found the Chicago police officers charged in the Jefferson Tap case not guilty. Some legal experts say a body should not put too much stock in that verdict.
I wouldn't be so emboldened by that. The entire world saw that video, and there's not much room for ambiguity in that video.
Not much has been said about a body's case since last May. That's when his attorney asked for and got a gag order. So we looked through the court file and found a few potential surprises that may happen at trial. In a document filed just last month, a body's attorney says his client may testify, and he may also claim self-defense.
I don't think anyone, any rational person watching that video could ever find self-defense.
Daniel Smith grew up in a family of Chicago cops and has written a book called Behind the Stars of the Chicago Police Department. He thinks most police officers are hoping for a guilty verdict.
I think that the Chicago Police Department as a whole, the individual rank and file officers, would probably prefer a guilty verdict versus a non-guilty verdict. That way they can just, it's guilty, boom, let's move on.
No matter the verdict, Smith believes one of the biggest challenges for the police department is getting past the tape and getting people to stop equating one bad apple with the other 13,000 officers on the department. Craig Wall, Fox Chicago News.
According to his attorney, a body has never been disciplined since joining the Chicago Police Department in 1994. A body faces 15 felony counts. He could serve 5 years in prison if convicted.
So much to do, so little time. Illinois lawmakers under pressure tonight.
Yeah, big budget deficit and ethics reform. We'll talk with one of the lawmakers now trying to race to beat the clock.
Also ahead, a Black History pioneer tells Chicago students to reach for the stars, and he knows a little something about that.
Still to come on the Weather Watch tonight. It's an almost perfect weekend around here. Temperatures will be mild, just a few wrinkles to talk about. When we come back, the best day of the weekend and also the neighborhood outlook. I'll have that forecast next.
Here's your picture of the day. A reporter hauled off during a presidential press conference. What did she say that got her carried away that's new on the 10?
Anti-gambling activists, including 3 experts in gambling addiction, are warning Governor Quinn not to sign a bill allowing video poker in Illinois. Among those against the proposals is Tim Kelly of South Carolina Center for Gambling Studies. He says Carolina banned video poker after finding it ravaged poor gamers who got addicted to the fast-paced, low-priced gambling and put themselves further into poverty.
If this is done, the governor will live to regret it, because I believe he will find that this is a way perhaps to close the loop in the short run, but it's done on the backs of the people in a way that will come back to haunt him.
Governor Quinn's office says tonight the governor is not committed to the idea of video poker, but also says it's a possible option to help close the budget shortfall.
This Sunday marks the scheduled end of the spring legislative session in Springfield, and there still are a number of issues on the table,
including that video poker. Joining us on the phone from Springfield, Republican State Senator Matt Murphy, who represents Palatine. How are you doing, Senator Murphy?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
So you're in business right now? Are you going to go past Sunday, or are you going to be able to wrap things up by Sunday?
Well, I think we'll be done Sunday for the time being. Unfortunately, even though Rod Blagojevich is gone, the dysfunction down here seems to linger. The best bet right now is that we'll pass a budget that's not a full year's budget, and in essence, we'll be punting. The leaders down here will punt and come back in January, and I suspect the Democrats will probably try and raise taxes then. You're
not in favor of raising the state income tax, I take it.
I am in an economy like this with unemployment around 10%. The governor's tax hike is going to cost more Illinoisans their jobs.
So where do you get the revenue from? If you don't raise taxes, where do you propose getting the revenue from?
We can eliminate the tax hike proposal, offset that by cuts. I've gone through the budget. We can make the cuts. They're not all easy. They're not all fat, but it's better than raising taxes and costing more Illinoisans their jobs.
Well, if you say Illinoisans have tightened their budgets and they've experienced layoffs, oftentimes if people are in those tight times is when they depend even more on the services that municipalities and the state is there to provide for them, whatever those may be. If you're going to provide less and they're going to be hurtful cuts, how's that going to help those who are in bad shape already?
Well, most of what we would have to cut are new programs or program expansions. We can fund the basic services and have a responsible government. Governor Quinn came out with what he called his doomsday budget, which frankly had cartoonish kind of cuts. It was Blagojevich-style scare tactics that aren't really reflective of what we would have to do to balance the budget without raising taxes. It is a much more responsible looking budget to cut rather than raise taxes, and we can do it without having the type of hurtful cuts that the governor warned.
Senator Murphy, thanks for being here. Like you guys down in Springfield. We don't have enough time.
My pleasure, guys.
Okay, right. And we can't stop our clock. We hope we don't have to on Sunday night.
Yeah.
That's right.
A government watchdog group calls the ethics reform package coming out of Springfield bait and switch. On a taping of Fox Chicago Sunday, Andy Shaw, the Better Government Association, says that lawmakers who push for the creation of an independent reform commission ended up supporting legislation that only looks like reform.
Every piece of reform they passed has a giant loophole so they can get around it. Worst of all, it doesn't take effect until after the next election cycle.
Shaw says if lawmakers truly wanted reform, they would have taken a vote on every recommendation from the Governor's Reform Commission as is. We also taped a segment with Andy about his television career, and you can go to myfoxchicago.com to see 3 behind-the-scenes stories Andy Shaw never told anyone on TV before. Pretty entertaining. The full Fox Chicago Sunday airs Sunday morning at 8:30.
Chicago students got a lesson in reaching for the stars today from someone who knows exactly what he's talking about in the star department. Dr. Bernard Harris was the first African-American astronaut to walk in space. That was in 1995. He told his story to students today at San Miguel Elementary School, part of the astronauts' Dream Team nationwide tour. Harris hopes his success will give kids a powerful push toward an interest in science and math, the key ingredients, he says, in any technology field.
Up in the sky right now. Been pretty chilly all week long, at least for May standards.
That's kind of cool. Nice earlier today, but Amy Freeze is saying the weekend's going to be even better. She'll be back in just a few minutes. Plus, the royal visit. Prince Harry showing he's all grown up in the Big Apple.
Well, the young Blackhawks grew up during the playoffs. The Hawks discussed what they learned about playoff hockey and playoff beards. And it's another pitcher's duel at Wrigley between the Dodgers and Cubs. Find out who emerges with the well-deserved victory next in sports.
Welcome back on the Weather Watch tonight. What a Friday night. A great view of the Sears Tower tonight, along Lake Michigan Avenue, everything all lit up. And as we get into the weekend, things are looking pretty decent. Only a few isolated chances for showers around here. Let's get started with the weekend weather. It's going to be cooler lakefront pretty much all weekend. So if you're downtown, expect temperatures to be just in the upper 60s and low 70s. Mild temperatures, so about what we would expect this time of year, and a slight chance for isolated thunderstorms here or there. Low 70s for Skokie. The Loop tomorrow, mid 70s. We'll take upper 60s and low 70s for Gurnee and Lake Forest, McHenry 72 and Crystal Lake. An early morning sprinkle is possible well to the north, but as we get into the afternoon, spotty showers are possible west and also to the south of Chicago. Tinley Park tomorrow 76 for you, Joliet the same, and upper 70s for the extreme southwest suburbs. And now Gary will have low 70s, Valparaiso 73, and Michigan City 70 degrees. The forecast for the weekend: Saturday's mostly cloudy. We get the warm air in here, especially inland, a high of 75, and then as we get further into the weekend, we get pure sunshine. So Saturday night, a few clouds, but then by Sunday, a lot of sunshine, and temperatures are cooler in the low 70s. So a decent weekend for us. If you're looking for the sunniest day of the weekend, it certainly is going to be Sunday. And now if you are lakefront this weekend, you may have noticed riding your bike or running along Lake Michigan, something's a little different. The water levels are higher than they were a year ago. Now, rainfall in Chicago and all over the Midwest has been far above normal for more than a year now. And all of this is very good news for Lake Michigan.
The evidence is showing, and in fact, if you walk along the lakefront, that the water levels are higher than they were at this point last year.
Kurt Hediger from the Shedd Aquarium explains that as water levels rise, there are immediate benefits for the fish habitat.
It's a good thing. The fish will have, this affects shallow water areas, fish will have better breeding grounds.
While rising levels can have a huge impact on the overall health of the lake over time, the rise doesn't secure the future of the lake indefinitely.
This is a cyclical thing. It's been shown over the history of the lakes since they've been keeping records of them that every 15 to 20 years lake levels fall and rise.
Just 2 years ago, lake levels dropped to within 3 inches of a record low set in 1964. The reason for the recent rise can be found in climate data. 2 snowy years back-to-back in Chicago and an extremely wet spring. It's important to remember, though, that rain that falls over Chicago drains mostly into the Mississippi River and not into Lake Michigan. But Chicago's wet weather comes from a larger regional pattern, which does affect the lake's drainage basin. And it's that wet weather pattern that has replenished Lake Michigan. Even with rising lake levels, urban runoff and water usage still impact water quality in Lake Michigan. And Hediger warns that conservation should continue.
We were at some record lows, and now is a good time for us to practice this and realize that the lakes are very vulnerable.
Some of those water conservation tips that you could do are minimize your fertilization, reduce usage, and do your very best to keep water clean as it drains into the local storm drains. The lake is still about 8 inches below its long-term average, but over the next several months heading into autumn, our wet weather pattern that we're expecting could bring the lake levels up another 4 inches. You can check out this story and a whole lot of information about the lake's water levels online at myfoxchicago.com. Just click on weather.
Thank you, Amy. Lakes have needed the water, so some people happy to see it. The Prince in the Big Apple.
The son of Prince Charles and the late Princess Diana is in New York tonight. His first official visit to New York City. It's a whirlwind. Prince Harry paid his respects at Ground Zero today, laying a wreath near the site of the memorial. Harry has also visited a garden dedicated to the 67 British citizens who died on 9/11.
It is a great privilege for me to be here today in this beautiful garden, right in the heart of New York City. My family is so proud to be so closely associated with it, and its purpose in honouring the memory of the 67 British people who died here on September the 11th, 2001. Thank you.
The Prince also stopped by a New York firehouse across from Ground Zero. He'll be in New York through tomorrow. His plans for Saturday: visiting a veterans hospital and playing a game of polo. Where do they do that in New York? Probably, I'm sure they have a polo field somewhere, right?
Just outside of New York.
Okay, upstate somewhere?
Somewhere.
Meanwhile, we like the little ball that goes up in the air and not on the ground.
Yes. Well, you know, if it goes on the ground and scores a run, that's fine, too.
Okay, all right.
But, yeah,
Whatever
it's all good so long as they win. With all the wild goings on at Wrigley this week, it's time the Cubs settle down, focus on baseball, and find a way to beat the Dodgers. They did that this afternoon as Ted Lilly bested LA's Chad Billingsley in a pitcher's duel. Lilly allows just 1 run, and it comes off the bat of Matt Kemp here in the top of the 7th. Barely reaches the basket, but it's good enough for the 1-0 Dodgers lead. The Cubs respond with a pair in the bottom of the 7th, though. Coy Hill at the plate, and get out. It does. The solo shot to right ties it. And later in the inning, bases juiced with 1 out for Kosuke Fukudome. Finally, someone comes through with a man in scoring position. His sac fly scores Jake Fox. That's the game winner as the bullpen closes out the 2-1 victory for Lilly and the Cubs.
It's just fun going out there and getting into a game like that and you know trying to keep up with the opposing pitcher and having a competitive game and in the end coming out on top. Feels good.
Well, the White Sox lose 1 outfielder to injury, but get another one back. Carlos Quentin has been placed on the 15-day disabled list with that nagging pain in his left heel, now diagnosed as plantar fasciitis. Dwayne Wise, who separated his shoulder April 13th, making a diving catch, has been activated to take his spot. White Sox wrapping up their road trip in Kansas City this weekend. Clayton Richard is getting plenty of run support tonight. Sox already have a 1-0 lead when Josh Fields knocks in 2 more with a double off Brian Bannister in the second. It'd be 4-0 after 2, and the Sox are pouring it on in the 6th as well. A.J. Pierzynski's double to right sends Jim Thome trotting home. That caps a 6-run inning. The Sox go on to win it by a final of 11-2. Well, the Blackhawks were back at the United Center, not preparing for a Stanley Cup Finals game, but rather preparing for the offseason, cleaning out their lockers, putting a cap on their turnaround season. Each playoff game was a learning experience for the young Blackhawks, who grew and matured as the season went on. Or did they?
Not many guys grew up in here, I'll tell you that. That's for sure. But yeah, hockey-wise, yeah, playoff hockey is so different. I mean, it's so hard. You know, it's so demanding on your body, and mentally it's so hard. And you know, for a young team to go through that, for a bunch of 20-year-old guys to go through that early in their career, it's going to help. It's going to help down the long run.
Well, the Bears have been very busy locking up versatile defensive lineman Israel Adonijah through the 2011 season. His 2-year contract extension is worth a reported $7 million. And they snatched up linebacker Pisa Tonoisamoa, inking the Rams' leading tackler of a year ago to a 1-year deal. The Bears also signed 7 of their 9 draft picks to contracts today. Day 6 at Roland Garros brings the first big upset. Hungary's Agnes Xavi eliminates women's 3rd seed Venus Williams-Xavi. Hammers a Williams serve down the line for a winner, and then on match point after a rally, Xavi forces Williams to dump it into the net. Williams has twice as many unforced errors as winners, as she's bounced by Xavi 6-0, 6-4.
Oops.
Yeah, oops is right.
Thank you.
Sure.
Now the results of tonight's Right or Wrong. It stems from the revelation of a so-called clout list of prospective students, say that 10 times fast, at the University of Illinois.
We wanted to know if you could pull strings. Say that.
See, I gave it to you.
We need to be on the clout list, apparently. If you could pull strings to get your child into a good school, would you? Here's what you tell us.
One viewer says, if I knew that my son was capable of getting a degree at the school, then I would do everything in my power to allow him entry.
A differing point of view says, I would think twice about trying to pull strings. And finally,
we're doing this one well.
What parent wouldn't want to help their child do better?
Now the tally from our unscientific poll. Right or wrong, as a parent, you would pull strings to get your child into a good school. Here's what you tell us. 81% of you say that's right. You would use clout if you had it. 19% say that's wrong. That's the wrong thing to do. We thank you for letting us know what you think.
General Motors is gearing up for bankruptcy, but the timing could be a lot better now.
And a cliffhanger for Chrysler. Our Money Watch segment is next.
Economic relief. Let's talk comic relief and why these clubs are doing so well. I'm Byron Harlan. That story a little bit later.
The Fox Business Channel confirms General Motors will file for bankruptcy on Monday. Despite last-ditch efforts, GM could not reach a deal with bondholders to avoid seeking protection, but GM did reach a new deal with the United Auto Workers Union, 74% of its membership ratifying concessions that will reduce labor costs by more than $1 billion a year. The new deal ends the possibility of any strike through the year 2015. Union leadership says it didn't have much of a choice.
General Motors is going to have a clean balance sheet when this is over, and we feel like that the stock should be worth a lot more, a lot quicker. Right now, we recognize the value is zero.
Bankruptcy attorneys say the agreement will help GM's case move through court quicker. Some predict it could be in and out of bankruptcy court within 90 days.
Meantime, Chrysler is already in bankruptcy court. Today, attorneys tried to convince a judge to approve a plan to sell most of the company to Fiat. The judge was expected to okay this deal. Several state pension and construction funds might fight the deal. Chrysler claims any delay could push Fiat to back out of the deal. The Italian car company wants the agreement wrapped up by June 15th.
Well, thanks for joining us at 9. There is more news coming up.
Lauren Cohn is here to look at what's new on the 10.
Jeff and Robin, here's what we're working on for the 10. A bull in the bullseye, a promising future for Bulls guard Derrick Rose, but it's his past that has him at the center of a college hoops probe. Tonight, what his former teammate is saying about it. A court's decision on an appeal filed by Drew Peterson. And Southwest Airlines gets pet friendly. What $75 will get your pooch? Plus, an investigation is underway into the city's parking meter fiasco. The 10 starts in 2.